I'm Bill Ritchie, and I'm going to test this mini Halfwood etching press. I test every press that I make, and before I send it out, this is number 41. Belongs to Sam Garrett. Sam likes to work in relief, and so I got a piece of what they call Safety-Kut from the art store, and my helper, Mike Sunderland, my son-in-law, did a design on it of a ship and carved it, and then I decorated the edge like a postage stamp. So that's what we're going to be printing today. Since this is a relief plate, I've designed a chase to go with the press in this case, which will help printing these kinds of blocks. It makes it possible for the rollers to press on the rails instead of on the block, and we get a better printing result that way. So that's what I'll be doing. I'll be printing a relief print from an Safety-Kut block using a chase, and I'm going to include the felts just as a way of giving the rollers a little more traction. I'm using an oil-based relief printing ink made by the Daniel Smith Ink Company here in Seattle, and I'll be rolling it out with a brayer, a cheap speedball brayer, the soft kind, not a hard brayer. I like a soft brayer. And my paper I have waiting for me underneath the ink slab, and it is a gray Magnani. Also inside this damp book are 2 sheets of newsprint for trying things out before I commit to good paper. So now I'll get started. It doesn't take much ink for a very small block like that. Work the ink out a little bit. I'm not going to change the ink, although sometimes I do add a drop or 2 of linseed oil. If this were etching ink, I would use plate oil, but this is relief printing ink. Water-based inks for relief printing are very popular. I just don't happen to use them. Notice I'm rolling at 90 degrees, and that will give me a better chance to get a uniform inking. Also, I can reverse the sides of the roller, and each time I roll, I let the roller spin a little bit. That way I'm guaranteed that it's not going to just run the same pattern over and over and over again. It takes a number of passes to get the block inked up. You go back and recharge the roller and pass over it again. For the beginner, it's always hard to know how much ink you have until you print it. That's why we call taking a print proving the plate. You've proved that the print works that way. If you don't get enough ink, it'll be too thin and vague, soft looking. That's very common the case on the very first time you print. If you put out too much ink, it sounds funny and it sticks up on the plate and it fills the details, and you have to clean the plate in order to start over. Otherwise you get a mushy, bloopy looking print. I like to start out cautiously with minimum amount of ink. That way I don't have to go back and clean the plate if I overdo it. So we'll go with that, and it's time to load the press. First the chase goes down the bed. Then I put in the blankets, or felts. Used to call them blankets in college, and I never got over it. Doesn't take much pressure on a relief plate. Now, people who are used to printing on some other kinds of presses will think this looks a little bit funny because I'm going to print upside down. I just think it works better, and also keeps the block from being imprinted and pressed into the plate. Here's my damp paper. That's just a piece of newsprint you're looking at here. Dampened. By dampening it, makes it a little soft, and I'll get a better impression. I can also, when I print upside down, I can tell exactly if I'm centering it correctly. Out the other side. Lift off the block. And there's my first proof on newsprint. Seems to be okay. Maybe a little lighter on one side. I don't know whether that's from the pressure or from the inking. But that's just the first proof. I'll try it again. Next time I'll print on the Magnani. Now the Magnani is a thicker paper than newsprint. You might have noticed that I'm rolling 90 degrees on the plate now. Rolling in one direction this way, and then in direction this way. I'm not adding any more ink to the ink slab yet. If the next print comes out too light, then I'll add a few more a little bit of ink about the size of a green pea. Block is ready, press is ready. Get the damp Magnani. Magnani is a all-rag printmaking paper made in Italy. You might tell from the name Magnani. Because that paper is a little bit thicker, it means the plate will actually have a little more pressure. Pretty nice. A little thin perhaps, and so I would probably add a little more ink to the slab. It's important in my way of working in printmaking to put on the moment number. The moment number is a combination of letters, this being Ritchie's, and the year 09, the month 01, and the day 16, and the time is 16:15. In other words, 4:15. That's called the moment number, and I use it instead of words like artist's proof or number 1 of 20 and so forth. So here I'm putting on a little more ink to get a darker print the next time, and that will conclude my test. The press bed is 6 inches wide. When you subtract the margins for the chase, it's about 5.5 inches wide, which gives me about a 1/2 inch margin all the way around. Now let's see what a difference that makes. Another piece of Magnani. It's been dampening for about an hour. It's a little darker, a little richer. I see one area here that's a little light. I don't know why. I'll have to ponder that for a while. But I can say the press works and it's ready to be picked up after I write the moment number. That's it. Thank you very much for watching. All I have to do now is clean up my mess and box up that print, and it's ready for Sam Garrett. I'm Bill Ritchie. Bye-bye.